Fredgy, first of all, congratulations on getting this movie into the Tribeca Film Festival.
Thank you.
So my first question I gotta ask is, can you tell me how the process began, how you all got together, and just how it came about?
Well, I'm very lucky to have a relationship with the father of the house, Marcus, and he knew that I wanted to do some kind of work, some kind of artistic work with the house at some point, and so he said, we're ready. And when I got that we're ready, I was like, wait, am I ready? Like, it was all very much like, okay, it's actually happening. And I started thinking about, we're coming out of the pandemic. It was like, there was all this idea about being at home. And I just felt like, what does that home, like, what's that good home feeling? Like, what does that look like? Who's that with? There's struggle in there, but there's also like really beautiful joy. And I felt like when I look at the House of LaBeija, I see that community, I see that support, I see that love. And I wanted to bring it back to the house, and just as an artist, I'm like, this is a mansion. Like, I'm thinking of like as beautiful and as just like, just gorgeous as possible. Like, let's place it there and let's talk about that, and not in the like talking head kind of way, but like, let's tell a story that's like a poetic story that can actually, not feel like a, what was it? It'll be okay. There was that whole campaign that was out, like, there was like you remember that? Yeah. And so with that, I said, I don't want it to be like that. I want it to feel like, let's look into, our past. Let's think about what was home like when we were, children, and then what is it like now? And obviously not for me, but for the house, but I really wanted to connect on it with them. I started thinking about that, and just seeing all the different letters that they wrote was just so beautiful and so intimate. I didn't want to make a film that was performative. I wanted it to be intimate. I wanted you to see like human beings with stories, with range, with all of it. And the only way you get that is when you have, they write their own words. Like, that's the only way you tell a story. You don't write it for them. And so, yeah, and then it just went on from there. It was just a day of connection and fun and collaboration, because everybody definitely worked together to make this what it is.
Absolutely. Well, I have to say, when it comes to the story of houses and ballroom, it's really been a topic for some youth growing up today. They've now got this exposure through shows like Pose or Legendary. So I have to go to the house to ask you, what has it been? Has the experience been like for you to be part of this family, to be part of this legacy, and how did it all begin? Jeffrey, if you don't mind, I'll start with you.
And let's do the ladies first, but yeah, you can start with me. Well, I came in the ballroom in 1987, and LaBeija was not my first house. I came into the House of LaBeija in 2012. And when I first joined the house, of course I knew about the House of LaBeija in the 80s. I knew about the house, but it was different when I came in. And when I came in, I was actually going through a transition myself, like getting back into working after we went through the recession in 2008 with Obama. So like, I was going through a transition as well. And when I came into the house, my focus was like, okay, I get it, but I'm older now. I need to focus on this new job and really get the hang of that. But somewhere around 2014, I got into the legacy of this house. And then it became about what I was set out to do always, which is service. And I realized what I was facing upon, especially what the house was going through back then. It was really just about this house having a legacy, and people, like social media was starting to take over, and there was always opportunity, but nobody was doing preservation. And for some reason, it just felt like that was my job in this house, I need to figure out how to preserve this house. I need to focus on preservation and service. And I just took off from there. I started making it not about me. I started making it about the members, and I started empowering. And then I decided to even go and take it further and focus on the girls, because that's what ballroom started with. It was about celebrating transgender women and cisgender women. Men did not come in ballroom till 1974. And it was the pioneer, Junior LaBeija, that was the first male member allowed to be celebrate within ballroom, and other gentlemen followed him. So I was like, let's take it back to what ballroom really was. And then I found myself, you know, being at the forefront of a leadership with the house and putting women up front. You know, like Samil became mother, Vivian became the overall mother at the time. She is now queen mother. Jasmine became the international mother, and all these amazing things. And I can only talk about the house in LaBeija, not other houses, but we have women at the forefront. And like, it's their responsibility what they want to do with their titles. But you can't say in today's Generation Z that in the house of LaBeija, the women are not at the forefront, because they actually are. And then when this project, and I'll slow it down with that, when this project happened, I felt so humbled by watching these women be celebrated in their authenticity and their beauty and just the natural aura of who they are. And I'm really lucky because I don't have a surface relationship with them. I know them all individually and what they're about. And I just feel so honored to be a part of this project and just to know them on that level.
Yeah, that is some kind words. You do live. And oh goodness. No, actually I'm gonna go to the house mother next here. And you got a mighty job holding up a whole household of children. How did it even come about?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, like Jeff said, it's all about leadership. So we work as a team, and like he said, he worked to have us females in the front face, like forward. So I feel like that empowered all of us, having them as our backup and pushing us. So that gave me a sense of, I'm going to say, tranquility, because I did feel like it was overwhelming having to take on this title without the knowledge. It was just handed off to me. So with the work that I started putting in my service and what I was giving, I was able to grow within my title and earning the position that I now have.
So I have to ask then, I mean, I don't want to say you were thrust, because obviously if you guys are working as a team, everybody's seeing something in everyone to land, to have like coveted spots within the house. So what do you feel they saw in you that would make you a good mother?
Like Jeff said, I do have individual relationships with everyone in the house. So it's all about the relationships that we have individually, not as a team. And we get to know each other on that level. We get to see what we've been through, relate that as well. I come from a family that was broken. So now I'm in a family that was also broken, because we did have a separation at once. So now we're united. And that's something that makes me happy, because I was broken at once. And I speak about that in the short film. And now we are together as a whole. So that empowers us to keep moving forward and thrive as a family.
So Giovanna, I will go to you next. How did your journey begin with the House of LaBeija, and what difference has it made for you?
Yeah, I am relatively new to ballroom. I joined my first house around 2016, 2017, and then joined the LaBeijas around 2 to 3 years later. And so by the time I joined the LaBeijas, I had an idea of like what I liked about ballroom. I knew that I was really attracted to the culture and the history and the legacy of ballroom as a cultural institution and creative platform. And seeing its history bring us to today, I always respected the House of LaBeija because it is the first house. It is a house that, as Pepper has famously said, the name speaks for itself. So by the time I arrived to the LaBeijas, I knew like, this is a place that, though you don't necessarily know anyone that well at first, I was scouted at a ball. One of the former members saw me, tapped and was like, hey, I like the way that you Vogue. And at this time, this was pre my transition. And so I'm coming into this space completely new. I don't know anyone, but I'm open to the experience of getting to know people. And because something that has always been stressed in the LaBeijas to me is that they were very, very family focused, whether or not that was always like presented in the best ways, which, as Samil has said, it definitely is a core value now. And so leading with that energy of like, oh, there are people here. And Kitty was one of the first people, if not the first person ever, that I spoke to in the house, made a connection with, who spoke to me individually and was like, I see something in you. Let me like form a relationship with you and turn it into something. And that just continued for now almost 3 years, taking me through a pandemic transition to come out, you know, on the proverbial other side, into Tribeca. And so that means to me, the LaBeijas, like, as I said, we're the first house. We have gone through a lot in the history of this house, ups and downs, rises in the popularity within ballroom, on the floor and off. And I think the legacy of preservation that brings us to this current moment is like the thing that has really carried me through, is like how strong this house actually is.
So Bougie and Jasmine, thank you for joining us. So the question I was asking, since you were just now coming in, was how did the house experience, how's it been for you, and how did your journey begin? Did either one of you want to go first?
I mean, I was gonna let Mother go first, but I guess I'm gonna go first. So for me, it's been a long journey, even like before joining the house, and like it was such a pivotal moment in my life because I'm from a very strict African and religious background, and when I got to the United States, it was a whole different story for me. It was this straight guy. And even when, like now, when I look at my old pictures, I'm like, oh my God, you're not as feminine as you thought you was. But because I forced it into myself. And then at one point it was, I just couldn't take it anymore. Like last year, I couldn't, well, in 2020, I couldn't stay in my, when COVID started, was it 2020, 2021? I was in the house with my family, well, my blood relatives, and I couldn't live there anymore because I couldn't live in my truth. It just couldn't like stay contained inside myself. So when the show Pose came out, I started like watching it with interest, and I started researching. I started watching all these documentaries on the internet, and then I hear about the House of LaBeija, and especially in Paris is Burning, the regular one that was shot, and then the outtakes, I see how Pepe LaBeija is talking about her family, talking about her children. There was this other documentary as well, How Do I Look, that came out after she died. You could see how she made an impact in her family and in the ballroom scene. So like that was one of the reasons why my eye was so caught by this house, and I was like, yeah, this is the type of thing I want, like a family that's gonna give me what the one I have doesn't want to give me. And that's what they've given me so far till this day. The freedom I needed, the space I needed to like come out of my shell, the push that I needed to come out of my shell. Because before I joined this house, I was extremely shy. All of them can attest to that. I couldn't speak or anything. And now my behavior with this family has totally changed my life. It has like spilled into my day-to-day life, because now I'm more confident. Now I can speak up for myself. Now I can stand up for myself. Now I know that I'm not alone, even when I think I'm alone, because it's easy to think that when you don't have like people that like really support you where you need it. But they support me every time, check up on me every time, more than like my blood relatives, which these people are also like jealous because I have a better relationship with my LaBeija family than my blood family. Um, yeah, I'm always defending um, my position with these people, but these are people that I love dearly, and yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The connection with you all is beautiful. So Jasmine, how about you?
Well, I joined this house by chance because my friend was in the house and I saw like everyone else and a lot of new kids, Paris is burning and stuff like that. But I was just recently thinking about everything that has come into my life, and I don't believe that anything just happened by chance. I think everything has a meaning, and that there's a bigger plan. And there is actually an old saying in Korea that translates to, when animals die, they leave their fur, and when humans die, they leave their name. And I feel like I'm destined to leave my name behind. And I think that's why I'm in the house, because I am destined. I mean, look at the legacy. Look at what all these amazing house, and which is also the blueprint of ballroom, has done, and all these wonderful POC women have led society too. I mean, without ballroom and without people like Priscilla Beja and Peppa, Moldavia, and the list goes on and on and on and on, where would we be? I mean, the whole queer culture and this openness and this creativity and the social construct, breaking down the social construct and building new ones. It all basically comes from these POC queer community and ballroom. And what a blessing to be a part of that legacy and part of history, because that's what we are,
That is right. You are a part of history. It just listen. I can only imagine what it was like filming this, Fredgy. I can only imagine what was it like on set the day of filming this.
So emotional, honestly. Like I get emotional every time they're talking, because like you could see the love there, and that's just such an important thing for me to witness and be a part of. So it was just, obviously I shot it. So I was physically, on the floor, especially Giovanna, I was looking back at imagery, like I was on the ground doing all this, and I didn't feel it until the next day because I was like, oh, I cannot move. But no, it was just beautiful. It was, when we started out in the morning, that's when the letters were read. And it was a great way for me to be able to connect with each member individually, just kind of show that vulnerability, because it's equal, right? As a director, I think it's important to show my vulnerability, even just in being there, so that like we can have this like shared experience. And then when it came time to the movement pieces in each room, I had set up each room for each member and was hoping everyone would like it, and also had them create like a soundtrack, like their personal soundtrack, just to move and just like be in their bodies with. And so it was like a party, honestly. We were dancing. I was dancing with every Bougie, remember? Bougie was all the way at the top of the house. It had the most light, but I was like, this is gonna be a beautiful scene. I was dripping with sweat, but Bougie maintained like all the grace and elegance and kept it so contained and perfect. So I have a story for each room. I can talk about everyone, but yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was just a range of feelings.
Well, watching it truly, it felt not only like a love letter to the house itself, but to the individuals giving it, talking to their younger selves, like I'm letting you know, like, you know, how you talked about the whole It Gets Better campaign. This was a much more intimate, just naked, more way of presenting that. Because, you know, even with friends of mine, just looking back, if they were like, if I could just tell my younger self, it would be, it's a daily conversation. If I could just tell my younger self. So that was the one thing I got watching it. So for each of you, what is it like to know? Because I mean, you have the history, you have the legacy, but now to have you guys presented on the big screen at a film festival, how does that feel? I'll let anybody dive in first.
First of all, it was a big surprise for me. Well, not that we were nominated, but it's a big. Oh wait, the better word to use is jump, because I had never pictured myself in something as big as this. The people that do know the reason why I came to New York know that I came here just for modeling, and that's it. I didn't really see anything else behind that. But then since I joined this house, I've been seeing, like, you know, more depth to myself, like more stuff that I know how to do. And being in the short film and being featured I that at the Tribeca Film Festival is like something that, like, it's like something that I could not imagine. Like, you would ask me, like, probably the day that I moved here, that I was gonna be in something like this, I would say now probably like in 5-6 years, I don't know. Especially in a film. But yeah.
I'll go.
Okay.
It got too weird for me. Like, in reference, I gotta like really kind of get a little more serious, because I kind of know what my service, what my legacy, what I want my legacy to be.
Mhm.
And then I'll touch on Tribeca. But like, for me at this point, and I guess this is a message to your readers, when it comes to the safe places that we provide, and when it comes to chosen family, it comes back down to the content. And I just think it's very important for people of color to actually own their intellectual property. House of LaBeija is the first house that actually has 7 chapters of trademark.
7.
7.
Wow.
Yes. And I'm really proud of that, because I didn't, you know, I'm the trademark owner, but I did not do this by myself. You know, there was the business manager, which is the father of the House of LaBeija. Not to be morbid, but I'll be lucky if I get another 20 years on this earth. It will be left to this house to do the right thing, to tell their stories as people of color, and to have a seat at the table when it comes to creating content, instead of someone coming in and telling their stories. And like, just, I feel like that is my legacy. And then I feel like the universe brought Fredgy Noël to us and gave us this wonderful opportunity for you to actually take a look in the looking glass of how we are empowering people that are going to look like us, to tell your older self, you're going to be okay. We're living proof that we're going to be okay. And that is, to me, with this project, this experience, you know. And then the main thing that is really exciting for me is these motherfucking women are going to look amazing at this premiere, because that's what ballroom is about. It's about a fantasy of one night of you looking over the top, but we're gonna be in the reality looking over the top. And I'm just so humbled that I'm getting an opportunity to be who I say I am. You know what I mean? And that's just, you know, like, I'm just over the roof with it, all of it.
Oh crap. I'm sorry. I got, like, when you just hit on, like, just being able to tell our stories. Sorry. Okay. I can imagine what it was like on set. I can now imagine what it was like. Oh goodness. So, okay. Samir, what
She's
about
giving
you?
some mail right now.
Oh yeah.
She's giving what I was giving, Fredgy.
I remember
You remember all that crying
Sure,
up there?
of course. Every time I watched it, I remember. Every time. Thank you.
Yeah, it
Thank
was
you.
a lot. It was a lot because I didn't think I would be voicing my opinions and how I felt and speaking about growing up. Like I just did an interview right like an hour ago, and I was speaking about growing up and having to go through a divorce with my parents and then going to alcohol as a source of relief for like 6 years plus. I don't talk about that as much as I should because it should be something that would help my house members. Alcohol is an addiction. Same goes as for drugs. So me coming out and expressing how I dealt with that with my parents' divorce and running away from home, becoming independent at 17 and just making it on my own ever since. And then going into the medical field where I was in nonprofit, having to deal with patients who are HIV positive. And I was one of the persons who would do the testing and let them know whether they were positive or negative. Like I never talk about these things, but it's like now is the time, it's the perfect time for me to express what I've been through and all my service because I've done a lot of service within the community and I'm proud of it, you know? So maybe my kids don't know this about me. So now is the time for me to speak on it. And I'm thankful for this platform where I'm able to express and have gratitude for everything that I've been through. And I'm thankful. I'm just very thankful.
Yeah, I'll jump in there because for me, one of the most powerful things, and even just like watching it back, was to hear our voices read the letters. Even like I remember the day of, it's a very intimate and vulnerable moment when you have to like record your own writing and hear it back and hear your own voice and like what that sounds like, not coming out of your own mouth, but like sort of back at you. And I think for ballroom specifically, so often we see videos of ballroom people where they're not talking. Legends and icons have passed through ballroom and you don't know what their voice sounds like. This film, it is so important to me because it's not about like how many categories you walk and how many trophies you have and oh, the glitz, the glamour, the fantasy. It's the reality of every person that is featured in the film. And you not only see them doing what we do, but hear our voices narrating the entire thing. And I think that in and of itself sets it apart from anything that has been done for ballroom, period. We have a lot of documentaries in ballroom, but a lot of the people in it, you don't know them. You don't know their life, their story, where they come from, their voice. Again, I think it's just like a really poignant piece of film and cinema that is arriving at the perfect time.
All right, Jasmine, the only one not to speak. We gotta hear from you.
Going off of Giovanna, I think what she said is completely right. And I think it's important to realize, and I always remind this of to myself all the time, being a part of history and legacy and the royal family of LaBeija, is that it is so much bigger than this moment. It is so much bigger than who I am and what kind of title that I have, and even the last name LaBeija. Just being a part of ballroom, like even this story happened because of the icons, the legends, the Hall of Famers, and the leaders, and the queer POC trans women that came before us. I wouldn't be sitting here today giving you this interview and being allowed my voice to be heard in this amazing film without those amazing women and people and individual. And I think it goes same for me, not to be so grand and hype myself up. I'm thinking to myself, after I am gone, who is going to be able to hear my voice and take it as inspiration and new source of light, because LaBeija is a source of light. That's why we call it the last sunshine. And the possibilities that will come through this amazing project and all of our voices being heard. I think that just brings so much hope and positivity. And I feel like we need that right now, especially with the current climate with a lot of things. So yeah.
So before I ask my last question, I want to give you all an opportunity to talk about what projects you have going on individually or collaboratively that are coming up in the future.
I'll go first. Well, I just filmed a drive-through dialogue with Taco Bell, and it was based on chosen family. I did that with one of my house kids, which is Aja LaBeija. That's a project that is streaming now. It's going to be on YouTube, and we pretty much spoke about the mothers of the house and the legacy and how the women have paved the way. I am not the first cisgender female as the mother. There was a previous cisgender female that opened up that door for me. So now I'm allowing other females to also come in as they are. And we have the Tribeca Film Festival. I also did a interview with Be Latina. So I am Afro-Latina, and to my Afro-Latina community, that's also me empowering them to have their voice and open up and cut down that mindset that you have to be married at a certain age, you have to be having kids at a certain age. I don't have kids, I'm not married, I'm 34, I'm a boss bitch. So if I'm a boss bitch, you can also be one. And that's just me right now with my projects.
Well, I have to say, Sylvia, I actually knew about the Taco Bell project. The same time I found out about this documentary, I was sent a press release about, and I saw the clips. I love the clips.
There's more clips to come, but I'm thankful.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll go.
Yep.
Well, there are things that I can discuss, and there's things that I can't discuss for the future, but I will say this. Okay. That number one, you haven't heard the last of LaBeija. And what I'm really working on is just making sure that I actually, with the LLC, being the owner of the LLC and trademarks, that I go out and I find yeses when I hear nos, and that I continuously do that. And I continuously try to keep the house united. And my main thing that I'm looking forward to is keeping the women up front. That is something that has to be done. Even when they get on my nerves, they have to be up front. Because it is about the woman of color. That is the most powerful I could, having a Black mother, how could I not see it for the woman? You know what I mean? And, I just know a lot of strong Black women. I know a lot of strong women, period. And I'm so attracted to that. So I'm hoping, and I'll manifest, that eventually I do a project that will actually center around strong women.
You're not going to make me cry again. It's not happening.
No, I don't plan to, but
it's not happening.
You got to manifest when someone asks you what the
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't put it out in the universe, how are you going to know?
I need the vibration.
Exactly. You don't ask, you don't get. That's exactly right. How about you, Giovanni? What do you have? What are your plans? What do you want to do?
Similarly, there are things that I either can't or don't want to talk about because they're bubbling. However, I am working on a short film of my own. It's sort of a choreo poem about my transition thus far. So look out for that. That'll be coming soon when I have more details to give the girls. I am primarily an artist and a choreographer. And all of the opportunities that have come my way as if within the last year have really given me the platform, including this film, to really continue to push like my own artwork as a creator at this point. So I'm really working on getting my choreography on stage and on film. So more of both of those things coming.
I'm just smiling ear to ear.
I guess I'll just jump in.
Mhm.
Well, I don't like to plan a lot of things because, especially as a performer, and, there are a lot of creative individuals in ballroom. They always say in the entertainment business, 99.999% is rejection, and that 0.000000001% is yes. So I don't really like to plan and say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or whatever, because there are a lot of, I hate the word rejection. I like redirection. I think God redirects you instead of rejecting.
Nice. That's nice.
He redirects us. Oh, this is not the way, so you go this way. But I do have some exciting projects that are already locked in and coming out. I don't know if I can say when does this issue, because I sent an NDA. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Don't do it, girl. Don't do it.
I'm not even gonna do that to you. I'm not even gonna do that to
Okay.
you.
Well, I'm also working with Taco Bell, and I'll be one of the headliners for their amazing Pride brunch event.
Even though I knew about that, but
here in Times Square. So I'll be one of the headliners for that event. And then, and there are a bunch of different Pride events that are happening, during Pride. They keep on calling to the queens, and especially if you have the last name LaBeija, it opens up a lot of doors. And then I actually majored in music. I went to school for voice, and I never thought that this would happen after I started performing as a drag artist. I thought that door would close, but this is one of the biggest events I will ever do so far to date, which is I will be singing with the San Diego Symphony Orchestra alongside Megan Hilty, conducted by Rob Fisher this come July. So I will be flying to San Diego to sing with them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, all of you, for taking this time out to talk to me, to share your experiences. And
I didn't get a chance to go.
Oh wait, I'm coming to you with another.
I gotta tell about,
We're
festivals,
My apologies, Fredgy. Go ahead.
Moving forward. No, so the film, so this is our premiere, and we are hopefully going to get into many, many more internationally. We've had so many different people reach out from all over the world about this film just from it premiering. So hoping to be able to announce more festivals soon. I'm working on my first feature film, narrative scripted film. So that is also something that I'm working on, but really the goal for the rest of 2022 is to get this film everywhere, distribution, festivals, all of it, so that as many people as possible can see it.
So that is a question. So it can't be just one festival. Like if you land in one, it's just, okay, that's just that one. You were able to show this in like Sundance or any of the other festivals.
Not Sundance, because Sundance will come in August. We're premiering at Tribeca, but there's like Outfest. There's a lot of other festivals that we've submitted to, Provincetown, Nashville, like a lot of regional, but also international. And then, but the distribution part is really what's so great about Tribeca, is because it's actually such a New York story. You have a lot of publications that want to support it in that way too, like local. So maybe it's the Times, maybe it's the New Yorker. So all of that stuff, we have space for potential distribution after the festival run.
Well, I definitely feel that Outfest is going to be one of your stops, most definitely.
I hope so.
So my apologies for you. So I'll just say you were last but not least, just not forgotten. But thank you everybody for coming together today to share this experience with me and just what it means for you guys, but I feel what it's going to mean for the community when it's seen. And you know, Jeffrey, you talked about what the house stood for, that, you know, it is about family. So one of the things I do feel to ask is, do you feel that Crystal and Pepper would feel that you've carried on the house with pride to the extent that they would want to see?
I think about it all the time. I did have the opportunity to meet Pepper one time. And I think about that all the time. And if in my mind, I would like to think if they are looking down, they're probably saying, bitch, don't fuck it up. That's how I'm gonna sum that up.
So I would like to leave it that everyone gives one word to describe the house of LaBeija. That is at LaBeija. One word to describe.
Empowerment.
Complex.
Radiance. I would say radiance.
Resilient.
What was that, Diavana?
Resilient.
Timeless.
Marcus
you got
said sunshine.
Glamour.
That royalty.
I know I'm not a LaBeija, but glamour.
Yes, you are, girl.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. You're honourary.
I hope.
But I have to say,
Honorary Fredgy
yes,
Noël.
Yes. I introduced Gia LaBeija.
You're telling them, Jeffrey.
Yes, I had to.
after meeting all of you, I will definitely say family is a word that comes to mind. And it has been an honor to speak with all of you today. And Fredgy, thank you for creating this, sharing this experience, and just adding to the history and the legacy that is this house. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been great. It's so nice seeing everyone again. I haven't seen everyone since we filmed, so this is like, I'm gonna go cry. I am. Thank you so much.
But thank you, Teresa, as well. Thank you.
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Thank you,
Yes,
Teresa. This was
thank
an
you.
amazing experience.
Thank you, and good luck to you all. I can't wait to see pictures of the record when you premiere this at Tribe. I can't wait.
Oh,
I
you
can't
put
wait.
us under pressure, but I can't wait either.
You all have a great day, and
Thank
thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.